This is the intro.
No, it's not. This is the intro starting in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this week's episode of College Football Roundup. We missed last week because we were sad, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we wanted to compile a little bit longer episode today going over last week and this week's college football. We're going to talk a lot about Texas, and we're going to talk a little bit about everything else. So obviously, a couple games last week that we missed out on. Not really going to talk about those that much.
Don't need to revisit them.
So we'll talk about this week.
Congratulations on getting the intro right.
Yeah, it took a little bit. We finally got the intro right. We're here in person, which is rare.
So it's
got our sign right there.
A lot more challenging to do these in person.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do these in person with this guy. This is about take number 7.
How do you want to share the mic? Do you want to get on top of it?
Yeah, so we got one mic just right there.
I can do it like this. Should I whisper?
No. All
right. Last week, the Texas Longhorns fell in great demise in Dallas, Texas, at the Cotton Bowl to the hands of one Oklahoma University. 1 week later, exactly, another 11 a.m. kick. Life of a Texas fan. We fall in not quite as dramatic fashion, but still very heartbreaking fashion to yet another Oklahoma University. I don't have a lot of words that are positive as a fan. Been kind of doing this every year now for a long time. Several coaching eras. None of them particularly memorable or good. Well, some good moments. The team has, over the years, had a lot of moments. Like when my favorite Longhorn ever said that we were back. But, we always get judged for that. I really don't know what that means. We're back. When were we ever in? When were we?
Well, the last time that
dominant for a long stretch.
The last time that Texas football was there on the national stage, year in and year out, a perennial championship contender, would be 2009.
Late 2000s.
Yeah. So from 2005 to 2010 is what I would say. But then when you look at it,
we never had like a Bama type run.
No,
we never had
well, no one's ever had a Bama type run.
That's true.
But when you look at
anything.
from 1996, the first year of the Big 12, until 2021 this year, which Texas could win the Big 12. Probably not. No. It doesn't look good.
No, that's over.
It's still on the table.
But
from 96 to 21, 3 Big 12 championships. That's it. I don't know where Texas got such outrageous expectations, but outside of winning the national championship and winning a couple Big 12 titles, nothing of significance. Really good moments, really good players, but the expectations are too high. But enough about that. This year, the big problem with Texas is the defense.
It's embarrassing.
It's bad.
And there's like no pride on that field.
And then it's funny because you take a look at the Oklahoma State game, arguably Texas' best defensive game of the season, if you don't count Rice and Louisiana, which I don't.
Count them.
Okay, if you want to count Rice, then be my guest. But the defense showed up against Oklahoma State, and the offense was nowhere to be found. Besides Bijan Robinson, who is the entire team at this point, Casey Thompson had a horrible game. Joshua Moore with a lot of drops. In the fourth quarter, Texas had 1 offensive yard. And so for the past 2 weeks, Texas has been outscored 45-7. That's pathetic. It's like watching them go crazy in the first half, wear themselves out, and then just disappear in the second half and hope to God they did enough. And that's just not winning football. And we'll see what happens next year. Stark already has this team miles ahead of Charlie Strong or Tom Herman, especially in his first year. And so hopefully when he gets his guys in there, a lot of good recruits coming in on both sides of the ball. Malik Murphy on offense, a lot of really good defensive linemen and offensive linemen coming in. I'm optimistic, but we'll see what happens. But it's just It's little
kind of-
things too. Play calling.
It's kind of like the exact opposite of the mantra this team's adopted: all gas, no brakes. It's kind of been like the thing. It's on a t-shirt now. I think there's banners of it all over town. But at time and time again, you get into these second halves, guys look worn down, guys aren't trying, guys are just kind of playing through the motions. And the aggression just isn't there. This team looks like a national champion in every single first and second quarter of this year. And then in the fourth quarter, they look, I don't know, just like they don't belong on the field.
No, absolutely. And then it's little things too. But like you look at when OU came back again in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
there were second strings on that defense.
There were.
It's like I told you. Anytime you see Adamora on the field, it's over. Something bad's gonna happen.
It's over.
No scoop and score. I
No.
want a scoop and score.
And being at the game yesterday, we could tell, I mean, you could just see it. The guys are just dropping like flies. And yeah, it's football. Injuries happen, but I can't help but feel like some of it is just the conditioning of this team it's not right. It's not there. Then it's not on par with with other teams that they're playing. You're seeing these teams, OU, OSU, go deep in these fourth quarters, go deep with their starters if they need to. And I'm glad to say that Texas is pushing these teams, but they need to be one of those teams. They need to be the team that is consistently pushing these top 10 teams deep in the fourth quarters, deep and winning ball games. But right now they're not winning ball games. So you're optimistic because, yeah, it's your first year with Sark and the new staff, right? It's the first time Casey Thompson's seen a start. There was almost a heartbreaking moment yesterday where he looked like he went down, but thank God he's good. But I gotta say, I don't think this is Casey's football team after this year, for one. And so this is definitely a bridge year,
Right.
which should have been the expectation, but because of because of one, Texas's brand, they're always going to carry a reputation to be a special team. Secondly, they did have a good start with cuts and cards, nonetheless. And then the loss to Arizona, Arkansas totally set that back. And then they start Casey Thompson, and now they look like a national power again. And we kind of got, I guess, lost in the smoke and mirrors because none of that is actually true. I mean, this is totally a bridge year. Like I said, I think it's Casey Thompson's one and only year with Texas starting at the helm. The reality is it probably is Hudson Card's team next year, if not, redshirt freshman Malik Murphy.
Yeah. It's very similar to, and not to delve too far back into last week, but A&M upset Alabama on Kyle Field. And going into that game, Nick Saban said that he was concerned that his players were underestimating them and that he thought it was a definite trap game. I know that word is thrown around a lot, but he said that it was a trap game for them. And even though he told his players that, he was still concerned. And what happened? They were caught flat-footed. They tried to come back. They still ended up losing to A&M. And it feels like that's what happens with Texas every game this year.
Every half.
Is that
it feels like every halftime they go into the locker room and they say, there's no way we lose this, right? The players at Texas have always had, I think it's just part of the culture, part of whether it be the city, playing here in this at DKR, there's always like some insane level of confidence, overconfidence, and swagger and charisma, and it translates into disbelief in your opponent. They always go into that locker room head high, but they come out just kind of playing lazy. They're not doing everything they were in the first half, and they're getting ran over, getting just crushed in second halves.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it's partly conditioning, maybe it's partly just getting caught flat-footed, but this team is just, it's hard to get excited about it at this point.
And of course, they can still wrap up with a pretty good first season. Maybe they went out, go 9-3. I'm sure that is exactly, I don't know. I don't want to say what he expected, but I think that Sark would be very happy with a 9-3 season in his first year.
Probably. And we probably all would have been going into this year.
Yeah, but Texas gets its hopes up. But
we saw really special moments. We saw jumping on top of OU 14 zip within the first 2 minutes of the game. And we saw our eyes got real big, and we saw national championships, and we saw banners hanging, and we saw,
I will say
it's hard. It's just like, this team is frustrating.
I will say that
But
back
we
to
have
the
to
OU game,
remember that this team this year has been frustrating, but we cannot group Herman's and Strong's challenges with this team's challenges, because it is different now.
No, definitely it is.
And so we can't culminate it all into one. We just have to be patient again.
Patience. I think that this team will be where we hope it is in a couple of years. Said that before, but we'll see what happens. Moving on from
That's all you can
Texas,
say.
though. Moving on from Texas.
So I can say.
Other big news in the state of Texas. Go down south a little bit. University of Texas, San Antonio Roadrunners are ranked 7-0, ranked 24. This is their first ranking in school history. They look good. Jeff Traylor is a very good coach. Frank Harris is a very good quarterback.
Very
Sincere
good.
McCormick is a very good running back.
Very good.
They beat Rice this weekend pretty much exactly how Texas did.
Yeah. And now they're ranked higher than Texas.
So Spencer, you're obviously very close to UTSA. A lot
Yes.
of love there. How
Lot
do
of
you
love.
feel? How are you feeling as a UTSA fan?
Huge on the runners, was huge preseason. I've already made it out to several games. Huge on the runners, right? Sincere McCormick is the real deal, as is Frank Harris. I'll be honest, I wasn't super sure about Harris, and now he's throwing darts and making these crazy runs. The offense is electric with them. They are well coached. You can tell that. The saddest thing is, today they get they're ranked 24th in the AP poll. They're 7-0. They're going to obviously keep rolling. From here on out, the schedule. Well, they do have another UT system school, UTEP, 5-1. They're a very good team as well. That's probably going to be their hardest matchup, and it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I just think UTSA is probably going to roll on to be undefeated. With health, health stays together. This team is too well coached, and they're now they care too much. It's not, you have smaller schools who maybe they get hot, they put together these little runs, and that's why it's so hard to go big on these smaller schools. I know we've been saying for weeks, rank UTSA, but it is easy to get, a big head with some of these smaller schools, right? But then you have your Coastal Carolinas, who are legit. Back several years ago, UCF, I was never put them in the playoff big, but it took them time to prove that they were a legit team, right? But now we're seeing it. UTSA is a legit program. The saddest part is it's probably not going to last. Traylor is going to get offers, unbelievable offers, I would assume. Maybe not this year, right? Maybe it's too soon, because we've seen Herman, right? Herman leads Houston to all this success, goes to Texas. It's a barn fire, right? So maybe these bigger schools will be more patient with head coaches that take over at these smaller schools. We'll see. It's going to be hard to replicate the success past this tenure of these two superstar offensive players, as well as the great coaching staff, unless the recruiting picks up. I think they have a great pitch, right? Especially if Traylor is there, and we'll see what happens. The UT school system has no shortage of money. However, if this is, they used to be kind of like the little brother, right? And now they're going to get, I think UTSA and UT are playing like over the next 5 years.
Yeah,
they
they're
have
gonna,
like it's like 5 games over the next like 10 years or whatever. if that's no longer kind of the case, we'll see what happens as far as dumping money into another football program. But we'll see. I'll just say it's been a really fun year. You don't want to take these things for granted, especially if you're Coastal Carolina as well. You know, you're kind of lighting the world on fire. But just know it's usually not forever and not long withstanding.
Right. And it is exciting for these teams like UTSA and the school and everything, but it's tough because however excited you are, you almost don't want your team to do that well so that you keep and hold on to your head coach, because I guarantee you within the next 3 years, Jeff Traylor is going to be at a Power 5 school coaching, and he deserves it. But it's just, we see it time and time again. The only time we haven't seen it so far is over in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is number 2 in the nation, and their group of 5 school, it won't happen to them, especially with them moving to the Big 12, which is huge. And that's what these coaches hope for when they take over these smaller, not smaller, but group of 5 schools. They want to get that bid into a Power 5 and do something special with that program. That's what happened in Houston with Tom Herman. He wanted to stay if they were getting invited to the Big 12. And then when he saw that they weren't, it's difficult to say no to the grander stage, the bigger paycheck, everything. And so I definitely understand that. But also at the same time,
UTSA is not getting the call up from Conference USA to the Big 12.
No, maybe the American in a couple of years, if we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But if Jeff Traylor, while he's still there, can build a culture and get exciting recruits, they've already had plenty of NFL players go to the NFL.
Yes,
which
first
is
round
huge.
picks.
Yeah,
it's definitely a place to still get recognized. It's a big enough school with large enough following. They're on ESPN, some ESPN network every week. It's usually ESPN Plus or ESPNU or something, but you know, it is becoming a more desirable place to play. I mean, there is certainly things to be optimistic about. I'm not saying bury your head in the sand, but this is it's just fun, and everybody along for the ride just needs to embrace it, because a 12-0 season is on the brink, more than halfway there, and that's something special. It doesn't happen often unless you're Alabama, but even then you lose to a terrible Aggie team.
Yeah. So. And I said this a couple weeks ago, and it's only been proven further. This is 2007 all over again. You had Iowa number 2 in the nation. They lose to Purdue. Now Cincinnati's at number 2, and they just have to not screw up, and they're the first group of 5 team we've ever seen in the playoff.
Sure.
Who else?
Is there any way?
Oregon.
Let's say they finish out. They went out. Is there any way they don't make the playoff?
No, definitely not.
Right.
Conference champion, big win over Notre Dame, undefeated, and also, well, still, it's a big name. It's a big game.
That. It's a big name, but not a big deal.
It's not like Coastal Carolina or UTSA. Well, UTSA has had a tough schedule. They've played Illinois, Memphis. I feel like there's another team in there, but anyway,
there are teams. There's 7 of them.
Well, yes, but I feel like there were another bigger team. But I just think that based, especially on what they did last year and the way they're playing and the success they're having, there's no way you keep them out. You just can't.
No.
Especially, I don't even know, with them being in the Big 12 in next year, maybe, I think they'll be in. They just have to win and they're in. Now, the other 2, I have no idea. It won't be Oklahoma. I'll tell you that much.
Well, they are third right now.
Well, actually, you know what? I take that back.
They usually are in.
Caleb Williams is amazing. He's the real deal.
I don't want to just come on here and take a big heaping dump on any particular player, but I do. Okay. So,
floor is yours.
It's a heavy burden that I have, waking up every day knowing that I share the same first name with this guy. It is hard.
Right.
I mean, it's just I've thought about therapy. I'm floating the idea.
Okay. Do you want a monologue? I can step up.
It's gonna get heavy, but I don't need you here. But it's just It's just hard, man. To constantly be reminded of a disgrace to a sport that I love, that you love, the people watching love college football.
They do.
So when somebody comes into that sport and they taint it, or a disgrace towards it,
Yeah.
with their attitude,
Say it.
how they are with their teammates,
Keep it coming.
with their play.
Let me feel it.
It's okay if you're not playing well,
Mm.
but don't go out there
Mm.
and act as if you're the best.
I know that.
Okay. Confidence is good. Confidence is
It's
great.
great.
Cockiness,
Mhm.
that don't play.
They don't play.
That don't play. Spencer Rattler is the least exciting, hardest player to watch of my lifetime. And I tell you what, I didn't even watch the Netflix show QB1, where they go into high school camps and it feels really unethical to be miking up like 16 and 17-year-old kids. So I'm not judging him off of that per se, but you could see it then. He's screaming at his receivers. He's screaming at his coaches. He's never been somebody who I thought, oh, wow, he's going to lead a team. He's going to really lead a team to somewhere meaningful. I've never seen it. I don't know what Oklahoma saw. I guess raw talent, but I've actually never seen it translate into a game.
Yeah.
Wildly mediocre.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, he was one of the highest recruits ever coming out of high school. And I will never doubt that he has the talent.
Sure.
But it's the attitude
Sure.
and the ego, and he's a total head case.
But I haven't seen it since he stepped into college.
He's like Texas. He has moments,
I guess.
But
he just lost his job in week 6 of a pretty big year for his school.
Yeah.
They're now ranked 3rd in the nation. No help to him.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
they dropped to 10 with him.
Yeah, he kept them, I guess,
above water.
I mean, but Shane Buechele could do that.
Right.
Okay. So, and I'd like to call out PFF football.
Okay.
What is it? Is that Pro Focus Football? I think preseason ranking, number 1 player in the nation, also future number 1 overall draft pick. Did anybody ever think that was accurate? Because I mean, last year his play was stellar.
It was better than it was this year. I think everyone he was pretty good last year, and I think everyone expected
pretty good
him.
enough to get benched in the second quarter of the Red River rivalry.
Right.
And now this year it happened again. Deja vu. They actually played a really cool deja vu graphic that had to totally tip him off. But hey, I'm not here to bash any one player, but it's hard not to support Caleb Williams though. Team guy, shows up, obviously works hard.
And he would never do like when he got benched and then when Rattler got benched and Williams came in, ran for that touchdown, it cut. I saw this later because I was there, but it cut to Rattler and he looked pissed off. And he wasn't celebrating. He doesn't care about the team. No, exactly. But Caleb Williams, it's kind of like I hate OU naturally. I go to Texas, I have to. And
But
that's
what it is.
When Jalen Hurts was the quarterback at OU, I found it very difficult to root against him just because I loved him as a player. And Caleb Williams is the
I couldn't
same
root
way.
against Kyler Murray.
I could.
That was that was the most special player in OU's history.
Right. And it was fun to hate Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
It was fun to hate Baker Mayfield because he was really good.
But you knew he was really good, and you knew that he wasn't a total D-bag, right? Like exactly. he was showboaty. There's like the tolerance level is high. Okay. I actually loved Manziel. Really tolerated Baker. I can't. So it says something. I can't stand Rattler. Like just can't. Also, if you're ever just like, you want to like punch a wall, just find his Instagram and just scroll. Read the captions.
It's bad.
Egomaniac.
But
looks like not going to go.
the point is that, sorry, we went off on a little tangent. The point is Caleb Williams is a very good quarterback. He's a freshman.
Very good.
He's a true freshman. He has
Very
Oklahoma looking like a playoff team, a national championship team. I'm terrified for the rest of the league for the next year or two.
So good.
He's going to be drafted in the top 10.
Incredible.
He's amazing. He does it all.
Spectacular.
And it was painful and fun to watch.
Incredible.
Other than that, Georgia is a very good football team. They're winning. They're going to win out. I like them over Alabama.
They're damn good.
They're gonna do their thing. Even with Stetson Bennett, they're still
Even with Stetson Bennett. That's a really good team. I'm still gonna go Bama as my favorite. Just until they do something. I mean, they've already done something, I guess, to prove me wrong. But like, I felt like everything could have gone wrong, did go wrong in College Station for them. And then there was just some magic in College Station that night, right? I think it was a record attendance. I think it was, record attendance all time. That's hard to play in if you're 19, 20, right? It gets loud in there. It does. I'll give the Aggies credit on that front. And I just think that, Zach Calzada, who's been literally terrible for the first, I guess, 5 weeks up until that point. Everybody in College Station wants him out. Then, of course, he has the game of his life. He goes down with a minor injury. He kind of Paul Pierced it, right? Like, he totally wasn't that hurt, obviously. He went out on the next drive. And it was just perfect. It was a storyline game. And it was just Bama's game to lose. And they lost. And that's fine. Like, you lose games. Sometimes great teams lose 3 games. Sometimes more. I think we're going to lose like 5 games this year.
I don't think Texas loses again, but I think we're running low on time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give our playoff predictions week 8. You're going to go your top 4. I'm going to do my top 4. If you want to pull it up, I already did. I will go first.
You go.
All right. So here's
we'll go back and forth. You could do your 4. I'll do my 4, and then your 3, and then my 3,
okay,
and then your 2, and then my 2,
okay,
and then my 1, and then we wrap.
Okay.
You don't get your 1.
Okay.
All
right. So number 4, my last team in the playoff is Michigan.
Wow.
I think this is the year that they beat Ohio State. They're having fun. No, but honestly, genuinely, I think the only thing standing between Michigan and the playoff is Ohio State. Yes, I think that they beat Ohio State this year. Ryan Day has proven to me that he is nowhere near as good of a coach as Urban Meyer at the college level, and the play is just not translating over deep into the Ryan Day era. So that's why I like Michigan at 4.
I'm gonna have a little fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a little fun, and I'm not saying it's outlandish, but this isn't I wouldn't put any real money on this, but I'm gonna say OSU, the Oklahoma State University, at 4.
So
here's my little brief reason. We just got off a love affair with Caleb Williams, right? He is a baby. He is a baby. He's only seen literally the pinnacle of college football. He's only seen the pinnacle of college football, right?
Right.
Or close to it. The only thing higher than what he's doing is, winning a national championship. But he is beloved. He's dominating. He's playing so well. What if he has a bad week next week? How does he respond? Does Rattler come back into the fold? There could be a brewing QB battle here soon. And I just see OSU as having, say what you will about the other Spencer in Oklahoma, Spencer Sanders, he knows he's got that job barring he does anything stupid.
Right.
Right. That's his job. It just feels like there's some consistency in OSU, and the team I saw on the field yesterday, they're level-headed. They go down 17-3, and it was a quick 17-3. And it's real easy to just get the momentum sucked out of you. You weren't the favorite going into the game. You fought through, you pulled out, and you won. Resilience. I just don't see resilience with this OU team either. So I don't know. I actually think there's something valid to it. I think there is going to be a Big 12 team in the playoff. I think they're going to be the 4 seed. They're going to get waxed by whoever is the 1, more than likely, but they'll be there.
And, you know, back to that point, I actually like that pick a lot. I don't know if it'll happen, but if Oklahoma State wins out and OU wins out, their last game of the year is against each other, and it's in Stillwater.
It's going to be crazy.
It's at Oklahoma State, and then they might play each other again in the Big 12 championship. But
they will.
That's very interesting, and I like that a lot. So my number 3 is going to be Alabama.
Okay.
I think they're going to win out.
They're going to be there.
I think that, well, if they lose to Georgia, if they lose, if they're not SEC champs, it'd be harder, but they probably still in. I think they're going to be in regardless because the committee knows they're the best team in football.
They're in.
So I put them at number 3 because, well, you'll hear the rest of the list, but you're 3.
My 3, wow, it's a good place for Bama. It's a good place. It's just so weird seeing Cincinnati up top of the list and then like trying to find a spot for them.
Yeah,
but you kind of have to make the spot.
Oh, they're number 2.
I know. So it's like that's usually a spot for somebody else. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bama. I think it's gonna shape out Bama, Cincinnati, Georgia. Yay. And then the only difference would be our 4 pick. Bama, Cincinnati, Georgia.
Now hold on.
Hold
on.
Ref.
Because in my theory, in my hypothesis, Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship.
Okay.
In which case, Georgia's no longer number 1. In which case, Cincinnati is number 1 in the nation going into the playoff. And then you have Georgia and Alabama 2 and 3 in whatever order. Can you live in that world?
Cincinnati is what?
Cincinnati is number 1. Cincinnati, SEC championship is interchangeable, and then Michigan.
You know, and I know we got to put in there. I just don't like that for them. I just think that they're going to run into a real dog. Well, really at any seed. I mean, obviously you're picking the top 4 teams. I mean, that is still so.
Now,
so
realistically, the SEC champion is going to leapfrog them and be number 1 in the nation. That's just the way it goes. But Cincinnati's going to be in. But I think it's fun to have them at number 1, so I do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be, but those are the 3.
Yeah,
those are the 3.
Those are the
Bama,
3 that are in.
Georgia, Cincinnati, 4, whoever the hell you want.
So
I'm going with today. I'm going with OSU. Next week, might go Texas.
Maybe the other OSU.
Might go UTSA.
Oh,
might go Coastal Carolina.
Okay, we're gonna
might go UCF.
We're gonna end it.
UTSA is a national power.
Stop talking. Stop.
They're ranked number 24 in the nation.
Be quiet for several days.
Coach Traylor is a legend. He will coach many years in the NFL. If I had one shot to save the fate of the universe, I want Iguodala.
Now you're just, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. We went on a little long today, but I think we had a lot of good stuff to say. It's fine. But hope you enjoyed it.
Ryan's not wearing pants.
Don't worry. See you next week.
Comment your favorite flavor of ice cream after taking a huge loss on a college football Saturday. Mine, chocolate fudge brownie, Ben and Jerry's. Really helps with the depression. Going to cue some up actually because the Patriots are about to play and who knows what's going to happen there.
Follow us on Instagram at College Football Roundup. I have the floor now, but no, I don't. But we are going to be posting a lot more on the Instagram. A lot of exciting stuff is coming. Go check out our most recent video by Jude McClaren. He talks LSU football. If you're into LSU football, go check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.